We sitting there wondering if Trent Baalke's continued presence is going to hamper the Jaguars. What if he ain't leaving? We'll investigate that in just a second here on Locked On Jaguars.
You are Locked On Jaguars, your daily Jacksonville Jaguars podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
It is your team every day. We thank you for joining us here on Locked On Jaguars. We got a lot to talk about today, but we are first going to let you know that today's sponsor is FanDuel. You can start the season with a big return on FanDuel. New customers can place a $5 bet. You'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. Shout out to the everydayers. You know where to find us wherever you get your podcast. We thank you for watching or listening to the Locked On Jaguars podcast. Here's what we're going to talk about today: the future direction for the team. That's where we're going to end up. Because we don't know what they're going to do, we're going to give you a couple of different ways to get there, just like a navigation system. One may be longer than the other. One may be more of a headache because of traffic, but at some point you'll get to your destination, all right? Who wants to coach? Who will want to coach the Jaguars, whether Trent Baalke is there or not? That's a good question. Is there a big difference? First, we got to find out this, though. What happens if Trent Baalke survives? I'm talking like this dude is walking through a jungle and has to make sure he doesn't step on booby traps. I'm talking like Trent Baalke is in the jungle like a contestant, running around butt naked, making sure he can eat enough vegetation to survive Survivor. That's not really what this is. This is a matter of whether or not Shad Khan wants to do the most un-Shad Khan-like thing, and that is go ahead and start over. He has to. Because if he doesn't, he will then do the most Shad Khan thing and keep Trent Baalke around, which will lead to the fan base at some point just giving up. At some point, then the fan base will just go, look, man, I don't know if I can handle this anymore. I really don't. And they'll say that, and then guess what? As soon as the draft and free agency comes around, they'll start calling it masterclass again. And then they'll have to hire a coach. And this is assuming that Doug Pederson even gets fired. You know, there's a distinct possibility that they might thumb their nose at everybody and say, we're going to run it back. Y'all act like we ain't never seen or heard that before here in Jacksonville. The Jacksonville Jaguars right now are 2-10. They are picking first if the draft starts tomorrow. I don't think they're going to end up with the number one pick. I think they're going to win it. Well, you know what? I did think that until Trevor Lawrence got hurt. Now, I'm wondering if the fans even want them to win. Do you want this thing to hit like rock bottom? And there are a lot of folks that believe that after this weekend, there's no way that Doug Pederson survives, right? I mean, with the whole Trevor Lawrence got hit by another guy, Azeez Al-Shaair from the Texans. Doug is seen on tape, and this is bad too, especially in the culture we live in now. Doug's seen on tape kind of Michael Jackson moonwalking up out to action. And I'll get back on Trent in a minute. I got to talk about Doug because we got to get rid of the possibility that both of those jokers going to be here next year. So let's start with Doug. And normally I wouldn't even draw a line of demarcation with him. I wanted him as a group package. But come on, man. Trent wasn't on the field the other day. So Doug did something. Y'all got to bear with me. Doug did something. After Trevor Lawrence got hit and a melee broke out. And Doug Pederson ain't no small dude, right? I know he ain't going to jump in front of a whole bunch of big old dudes like Jeff Van Gundy did back in the day when he was breaking up the Knicks in the heat and hanging on people's legs and all of this stuff. But I stood next to Pederson. Pederson is at least 6'3". I'd say over 230, 235. That action got kind of hot on the field the other day, and that brother backed up and moonwalked faster than Michael Jackson. Let me tell you, was Chris Brown worthy, man. That joker got up out of there so fast. And then he didn't even walk over where his franchise quarterback, was on the field stretched out. You just didn't see the normal compassion, right? And then he shakes hands with D'Amico Ryans and then goes into the press conference after the game and proceeds to talk about his own guys getting suspended, namely Jarian Jones, and how Jarian can't do that kind of stuff. And then D'Amico Ryans and his people, they totally defend their player. They say it's all been blown out of proportion. Aziz was suspended for 3 games, by the way, for being a repeat offender, because he has been a repeat offender. Shout out to my boy Big Sarge in Houston, but no, he's a repeat offender. And we're forgetting the whole concussion deal and why guys are asked to slow down. If you want to hit somebody like that, hit the dude that always fakes like he's going down and doesn't, Patrick Mahomes. But see, I think if you did that, folks would know what was coming. The same way people used to go off on Cam Newton and tee off on him, but they wouldn't tee off on Tom Brady the same way because they know it was going to be excused. But in any event, getting back to Doug Pederson, their coach stood up for their guy and said that it was excessive. Their GM said it was BS. I think both of them are full of it, but I think both of them are doing what they're supposed to do, which is why Doug Pederson should have done what he was supposed to do and defend his team and stop looking at the shield as a whole. If he wasn't going to get fired, he probably sealed his fate the other day, because if it weighs on media people like me and folks are looking at this saying, come on now, I wonder what those players in the locker room are saying. And my fear is what has happened is it's given Trent Baalke a chance to separate himself from Doug and tell Shad, see, that's why they can't win, because they're soft. He should have been defending our own player. See what's going on? And see, that's the part of this that bothers me. That's the part of this that bothers me. What if Trent doesn't leave? What if Doug and his apparent softness is just another way for Trent to say it wasn't me? I wanted to package those dudes up. You see those zingers and those Twinkies, they used to come in a pack. You couldn't buy them one-on-one. I wanted to make sure that they stayed in that branding. But now we're slowly starting to see a little bit of separation, and that leads me to think Trent Baalke might still be here. And if Trent Baalke's still here, you got to ask yourself, and it's something that we posed yesterday in segment 3, what does that mean for who they can potentially hire to replace the moonwalking Doug Pederson? We'll go over it. Let's go over all of that here in segment 2 on Locked On Jaguars. Today's show is brought to you and sponsored by our friends over at Prize Picks. Man, if you want to win you some money, even if your team is losing, well, Prize Picks is the place, because Prize Picks is the #1 daily fantasy sports site in America, and it's the best place to get real money sports action with over 10 million members and $5 billion in awarded winnings. Prize Picks made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. You just pick more or less on at least 2 player stat projections and see the money start rolling in. Download the app today and use the code LOCKEDONNFL to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. The code again is LOCKEDONNFL. That's LOCKEDON NFL. Download the app and use that, and you'll get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. It's highly encouraged that you go and download Prize Picks. Prize Picks. Run your game. All right, running it down here on Locked On NFL and Locked On Jaguars. There we go. Yeah, I'm on Locked On NFL too. Yeah, but we're running it down right now on Locked On Jaguars. Listen, talking about Trent Baalke. Telling you right now, Doug Pederson did not endear himself with people, and I wonder if he endeared himself with the players by taking such a soft stance on the hit against Trevor Lawrence. It's just not a good look. The optics and the messaging. What I always say about messaging: make sure whatever you put out is exactly something that represents who you are, whether it's your play on the field or the things that you say in front of the microphone. And if this is who you are, then tells us a lot more than we thought. But it tells us also that Doug might be a little soft, might be a little too soft, in fact. Just might be a little too soft, just for our liking here in Jacksonville. If you're not going to back up your players, you got to back them up, man. You got to do it. That's one thing about the Texans. They backed their dude up, and I wish Doug Pederson would have done the same thing, but that's not what he did. Now you got people thinking that Trent Baalke's safe. When you add that to the fact that he extended Walker Little prior to Sunday's game, and Walker Little has played well the last few weeks, and then goes out there the other day in a game where, okay, you just got your money, what you going to do? Well, he shut them dudes out. He played well again. Should he have been out there this whole time? Just let him work through those mistakes? Because it's real odd to me that you extended a dude that ain't started for 3 games, but he's been here for 4 years. And I don't mean just started 3 games in his career. I mean this year. You decide this year that he's worth $45 million, but you didn't decide until later in the year that he was somebody you needed to have on the field. And I know you can get caught up in playing these games and trying to increase the value of Cam Robinson, and maybe you can get something for him. How does that work out for you? You're going to have a dude on the field playing that's less than the guy you want to keep. You're 2-10. Oh, yeah, you get that good 6th-round pick. These are the reasons. It's stuff like that is why I want Trent Baalke out of here. But people started to act like this weekend that the vibes were that he wasn't going to leave, that he was going to stay. And now it's got all of us thinking about the contingency actions. Like, what if he stays? If he stays, I'm going to tell you, I think it thins out a lot of the coaches. If he stays, I think Trent Baalke already knows right now who that coach is going to be. I think he knows right now who that coach is going to be. I think he knows right now who he wants to replace, and he knows he can get that guy. It ain't going to be Belichick. They'll say that Trent won't work with somebody strong. The hell he will. Trent will work with somebody strong. If Trent is the one that goes out and gets this guy, I think it would be somebody like Mike Vrabel. And I don't think it'll work long term, but I think it works immediately because you go out and you get Vrabel, and you're the guy that came and got him. And you're used to dealing with Vrabel, and you try to work it out with him that you're going to be, hey, man, I'll get you the big tough guys because I'm a big traits tough guy anyway. You just handle them on the field. I think Trent Baalke believes he's drafted guys that are big enough, physical enough, and strong enough. I think he probably thinks they haven't been coached to be big and strong and physical. In fact, with the actions of what happened over the last weekend, you would think they might have been coached to be soft. This is why, man, I don't want Doug doing dumb stuff like he did the other day. But they continue to do things that cause themselves grief, like announcing somebody was going to be the play caller and that you're going to do things differently. Why, if you really weren't doing them differently? And it backfired. It's a need-to-know basis. This team, man, is just constantly always doing and saying the wrong things. And now, with everybody sitting here guessing that Trent Baalke might have a little bit of he might have been revived a little bit. Somebody might have put the things on his chest and went clear, and now he has a pulse because he's doing things that suggest that he's not going to be gone anywhere. That if anything, somebody else does. And I'm telling you, if that's the case, I already think he knows who his coach is. I think he knows who he can't get to. So don't be surprised if it's not a retread. I don't think he'll work with Bill Parcells. I mean, not Bill Parcells, Bill Belichick. I think Belichick has been so critical of the way the Jaguars are, unless he's talked to him privately and they got some sort of rapport or whatever. And he told Bill he'll work with him and he'll be more of a complimentary guy and go do the things that Bill wants him to do. Maybe he agrees with the assessment that I think Bill Parcells said it on TV that the Jaguars are a soft team. Maybe he agrees with it, but maybe he thinks it's not physical. Maybe he thinks it's in their mentality and their approach. It's all a possibility. But trust me, I think if Trent Baalke survives the purge in the offseason, I think he already knows who the coach is going to be. And I don't think it's going to be like no Ben Johnson. I don't think it's going to be anybody like that. I think it's going to be an old school guy, a sort of a retread guy, or a young guy who doesn't want to do personnel. He just wants to call plays. But the way that he called plays kind of fits in with this mantra of physicality or traits. Could be Liam Cohen. I'm going to tell you right now, I keep hearing Ben Johnson's name, but I have heard Liam Cohen's name a whole lot. That's the offensive coordinator for the Tampa Bay Bucks, who has done wonders with the Bucks offense and Baker Mayfield, even though they've been shorthanded. Liam Cohen actually does have a lot more NFL experience than people give him credit for. Most of it's in college. The Bucks offensive coordinator this year, he was at Kentucky in college in 2023. He was at the Rams in 2022. In 2021, he was at Kentucky again. He was at the Rams before that. And the Rams before that, he has a background coaching wide receivers and quarterbacks. So he's the next wonder kid, if you will, of play calling. A guy like that is going to want a team to have an established quarterback that is young, that he believes he can work with, or he will want them to get a new one. And the Jaguars are still like right in the middle of that. They got a new quarterback who's a veteran, but he's still young. So, yeah, don't be surprised, man. We have to start bracing ourselves for the possibility that we're going to get Baalke all over again. And that when the line is drawn, it's going to be one side or the other. It's going to be like, no, this happened for this reason. And we need to keep moving in this direction because we got these players under contract, this guy. We just had the wrong coach. If that's what happens, if Baalke stays, you can best believe that's the argument that's going to be made to do it. I don't agree with it, but I'm just telling you what might happen. I'm going to try to tell you what will happen either way. If everybody stays, if Pederson goes, Baalke stays, or if both go, I'll talk to you about all of that in just a second here on Locked On Jaguars. Today's show is brought to you by our friends over at FanDuel. Get yourself ready to tackle the NFL action as the season winds down with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Because right now, new customers can bet $5, get $150 in bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL all in one place. So you can get, whenever you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more with the same page where you placed your bets. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. You'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Run it down here on Locked On Jaguars, where it's your team every day. We thank you for making us your first listen, having this, what do they say, hard conversation? Is that what they call it? Whenever you need to talk about something as a family to make sure that you at least went over it just in case it happens. I call it contingency action because you have to make contingency actions for situations that you don't have control over, just in case people do things that'll surprise you. And the people I'm talking about are the Jacksonville Jaguars and Shad Khan. It would not surprise me if Shad Khan decides to run it back. It would not surprise me if he decides to get rid of everybody. And it would not surprise me. In fact, it would probably surprise me the least if what Shad Khan did was split it up. We're going to start over, but not really. Because that, to me, is what he has always done. And there's just this possibility that either one of those three things could happen. So let's go over what could possibly happen if they keep both. If they keep both Trent Baalke and Doug Pederson, if it doesn't work next year, they'll get rid of one person then, as opposed to just getting rid of everybody. They'll keep Trent Baalke probably another year, and if it doesn't work again at that point, then they'll be one season away from opening the stadium. They'll make a big splash hire in the GM and make a big splash hire with the coach, and then come running it back right the year before we're supposed to open a new stadium in 2028. If they get rid of one, they get rid of Doug Pederson, they keep Trent Baalke. Then 2 years from now, they'll be getting rid of everybody, because then Shad Khan would probably know, okay, well, this new coach, whether it's Liam Cohen or whoever, yeah, he's better, but you know what? We still got the same problems. We still got the same problems. If they get rid of them both, now we are cooking. If they completely start over, the Jaguars could very well still not be a very good team 2 years from now because of history. History says that that's the way it is. But don't you want to try? Don't you want to try? You can't give up. You can't just stay here locked into mediocrity forever just because you're afraid to fail. Because at the end of the day, mediocrity is failure. If I can get it out before it can be classified as failure, I got to be able to say it correctly. So mediocre play is failure, because there's only one winner in 32 teams. And it's failure because if you're not even really trying to give yourself a shot, look at what being mediocre got you. You ran it back basically for 2 straight years at 9 and 8, and now you're back at the top of the draft. The people that you have running the team are incapable. You at least know, if you're trying to split them up and trying to figure out who's responsible. No, you don't have to do that, because what you do know is this: both of them have had a hand in it. So instead of trying to figure out who's wrong and who's right and replacing one person and leaving the other one intact, just get rid of both of them and start over. The worst thing that can happen is you'll still be bad in 2 years, but at least you try. But I'm going to tell you right now, if you keep anything that's over there right now, you are going to want to make another change in a year or two. So if you're going to do that, and if you're a Jacksonville Jaguars decision maker, why not go ahead and get it over with right now? Do it. Run those dudes up out of here, man. Start over. Don't even get tricked off and tricked off. Don't even get tricked into trying to figure out which one is responsible for it. They're both responsible for it. And if it is one of y'all's fault, how come the other person didn't come tell me 2 years ago that this wasn't going to work? Now listen, if that's the case, if at some point Trent Baalke told, and I'm just saying this because we're not privy to any conversations, if at some point Baalke went to Shad Khan and told Shad Khan, look, man, we got a problem. And Shad told him to play it out, and now he can go back and go, yeah, there you go. We played it out, but I told you there was a problem. That's one thing. But never, ever, 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 ever forget. There was rumors that Shad was going to go in another direction with the coaching staff, and that Baalke told him, no, I don't want to go in that direction. I want to go here. And that there were people that wanted to coach here, but didn't want to coach here with Trent. So I hope if he gets to the point, he being Shad Khan, I hope if he gets to the point of trying to figure out where it went wrong and where it went right, or where it didn't go right, and who was the line of demarcation, and what was the day that we made the wrong turn, and were we on the right path? And I hope he remembers everything that happened. It's the reason why we kind of do these podcasts every day. And the reason why, within reason, I don't have a problem with people adding folks, but I wish y'all would stop adding me in tweets with Tony Khan. If I want to talk to Tony Khan, I just talk to him. I email him. Or I talk to him when I saw him at the game. I don't need y'all to make that connection for me. I mean, trust me, if y'all want somebody over there to hear something that I'm saying, trust me, you ain't got to do that. You ain't got to do that. I'm telling you, they hear everything. But we got to make sure we keep the main thing, man. And that is the bottom line is fans are just sick and tired of not winning. Fans want to know that at the very least, if they're going to sit here in the offseason and gear up and muster up and start taking disposable income and sitting it to the side, they're going to support you even if you're the worst team ever. Y'all should know that by now if you're the Jaguars. But the thing is they at least make people feel good about giving them their time and money and their effort and their heart to this team. At least make them think you're competent and you're going to do everything that you need to do in order for this team to improve. Scared money don't make no money, man. Y'all might as well just start over. Start completely over. Gamble on yourselves instead of gambling on people that you have seen what they can do. Gamble on your ability, even though you keep messing up, that at one point you're going to get it right with the leadership. And one of the biggest mistakes that Shah Khan has ever made is just trusting the wrong people. Urban Meyer, in this case, Trent Baalke. I wouldn't say distrust when it comes to Dave Caldwell or Tom Coughlin or Doug Marrone, but I will say establishing a hierarchy that led to a lot of distrust, like 3 different heads, and nobody was on the same page. You got a chance. You got a chance for the first time in a long time. You know what? To say there's a chance that Shah made one mistake. And that one mistake was trusting Trent Baalke and Urban Meyer. And instead of saying, I keep messing up, no, you didn't. You did the best you could. You know what? You were a rookie at it when you hired your first crew, and then you hired your second crew, and you thought you were doing the right thing, but you weren't. Now, let's do it again. We want Shad to have more faith in himself, don't we? You can have faith in me, man, here every day on Locked On Jaguars. You can also have faith that I'll be on Locked On NFL. And in fact, it's 2 Locked On NFL shows, one in the morning with Tyler Rowland, early in the morning with all of the day's news with the use of local experts to know your team like no one else, and then me in the barbershop in the middle of the day. Make sure you check out Locked On NFL wherever you get your podcast, whether you see or hear your podcast. All right, man, you guys take care. We'll be back with you, of course, Thursday, a crossover. I got to do a crossover with Tyler Rowland, by the way, because the Jaguars play the Titans. And then if anything happens tomorrow, I'll let you know the health of the team, Trevor Lawrence, and everyone else before that happens on our Wednesday episode. Make sure you tap in every single day on Locked On Jaguars, where it's your team every day. Take care of each other. We'll see you next time.